Black Wall Street here in the historic Greenwood District was the most prosperous Black-owned business district in the country in 1921. It housed hundreds of businesses, Black-owned businesses, anything you can think of wanting that you wanted or needed in your community, you could find here in the Greenwood District. The 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre is the event that destroyed Black Wall Street. It was the assault on an African American community that destroyed 35 square blocks, destroyed 300 Black-owned businesses, murdered at least 300 individuals, and many people still do not know about it. What's important to note is that by 1925, African Americans completely rebuilt the Greenwood District. We saw the return of the hotels, the movie theaters, the restaurants, the jazz and blues clubs. Black Wall Street would be rebuilt. And that's what we want to make sure that people know about this history, is because it speaks to their courage, their resilience, and their strength. Black Wall Street today is an idea. It's the spirit of the Greenwood District that continues to live in us.
How do you feel that Tulsa has progressed since then, and how do you feel it is now in 2021?
Tulsa as a whole is acknowledging this history in a way that it hasn't before. The mayor's office resumed the mass graves investigation. The State Department of Education has mandated that this history be taught in our public school systems. So we are making progress, but reconciliation cannot come without reparations. That has to be addressed, and we have yet to truly begin healing from the historical trauma that our community suffers from. So I want to be clear that in order for us to reconcile as a city, we must talk about what these families that suffered through the massacre, what they lost, what was stolen from them, how they suffered. There are 2 living survivors still. Tulsa overall is still a wonderful place to visit. It's a wonderful place to live. There's a resurgence of Black-owned businesses in the Greenwood District. So Greenwood, Black Wall Street is thriving again.
So you're born and raised in Tulsa?
Yes.
What made you want to stay here?
Because this is my home, and I love my community. When I came to work here, I was only 25 years old. And it was during a time when we were beginning to identify survivors. I never wanted to work in a museum setting. I never wanted to work in an office. But when I learned about this story for the first time, and I began to hear the survivors telling their stories, what they said was, of course, we believe that reparations are due for everything that our families lost, their homes, their businesses, their lives even. But what we want more is for our children to know that there's more to Black history than slavery and the civil rights movement. We want them to know that we were savvy business owners, that we were strong and independent, that we loved ourselves and we loved each other. And when one person would get their business up and off the ground, they would grab the hand of their brother or sister and pull them up alongside them. And so hearing their stories created this burning desire in me to make sure that as we watched our survivors pass away, it became a mantle on my shoulders to make sure that their stories are not forgotten, that this history is not forgotten, and that they receive what they wanted more than anything, and that's for future generations to know about this part of African American history.